My name is Vaida, and I am from the Metricstyle team. Today, we have a very exciting webinar about NEAR. Get yourself comfortable, and we're going to start in a minute. Let's kick this off. Thank you everyone for joining the NEAR webinar brought to you by MetricsDAO. My name is Vaida. I am education lead at Metricstyle, and I'm very excited to share with you my knowledge about NEAR. And today we are going to be delving into the foundations of the NEAR blockchain. We're going to understand some of the key technologies behind this blockchain, also see some of the use cases, look into NEAR's community, and also explore what's going to happen with this technology in the future. But first and foremost, as I mentioned, this webinar is brought to you by Metricstyle, and Metricstyle essentially is a community of Web3 data analysts who provide Web3 organizations with on-demand data insights and tooling. But even if you're not a data analyst, you're very welcome to join our community. We have hundreds of people already joining Metricstyle, and one of the big things that we are focused on in Metricstyle is courses, so educational programs on different protocols as well as Web3 analytics. So at the moment, you can go to Metrics website and you can on the website register to our current and upcoming programs. So at the moment, we have the Web3 Analytics 101 Assume program going. We're going to start our cohort program at the end of February. And as well, we're still launching our ecosystem courses on Algorand, NEAR, Ethereum, DAOs, and more. So the best way to register to the programs is to head to our website, and there you can just sign up to get updates, and as well to join our Discord community, because there we are ensuring to keep you up to date with everything that's happening within the DAO and all the different educational programs that we are launching. Also, a big thing that we are doing here at MetricsDAO is analytics challenges. So any one of you can take part in those challenges. They are open for you to participate, and you can participate in different ways, such as sourcing questions, answering them, or peer reviewing others' work. So we really are a community that is focused on knowledge sharing and mentorship. And we want to support all of you guys to become Web3 data analysts, or in general, learn more about Web3 for different ecosystems, so it can become an active participant and even a leader in the space. One thing that I would like to mention you right now is that we are going to be sharing a form here in the chat. This form is quite important for you to fill in, because once you fill in this form, you will get access to a Discord channel we're going to create for specifically NEAR blockchain. And you will also be granted a badge, which is going to give you access. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you can get that access at the end of this webinar, but now it's really important that you go and fill in this form that is shared with you here in the chat, and is going to open you opportunities that in our Discord server and in our community that are only going to be available if you fill in this form. When it comes to some of the people that have attended our programs, well, we've had amazing success stories from people that only had basics of blockchain and crypto. They joined our programs and then they managed to land jobs or even earn a significant income through completing bounties challenges. So very excited to see what's happening in our community, the amazing students that we have and that are just taking up this venturing into this Web3 space and landing jobs. So we're very happy to hear about it. Now I would like to turn it to you. So if you could now share in the chat, what's your background and what brought you to this webinar? Are you a marketeer? Are you an analyst or a developer? We'd love to hear more about you. So love to hear about it in the chat. Right. And as you're sharing that information, I'm going to start our presentation on NEAR. But before that, I'd like to give you a quick recap on Ethereum. So I don't know how many of you have been in the last week's presentation, but we actually talked about Ethereum last week. And what we said there is that Ethereum was really the first blockchain to implement smart contracts. And it's really like the very beginning of blockchain. And we've started with Bitcoin, which had the first kind of real use case with decentralized finance. And then we had Ethereum, we still have it, that created this possibility to build decentralized applications on top of blockchain. However, what we also saw in this presentation is that Ethereum has a bunch of scalability issues. So if you're building on top of Ethereum, a lot of the times you will encounter lower speeds, high transaction fees. So now a lot of the other blockchains now came up and said, okay, how can we actually do this better? How can we focus more on scalability? And that's what NEAR did as well. Like what NEAR is really focused on is how can we actually ensure that this blockchain is scalable. So meaning that many people can participate, have low transaction fees, and also have these transactions run at speed. Also, one of the big things that separates Ethereum from other blockchains is its focus on usability. So I've used different NEAR applications, and something that I've noticed, and I'm also going to share these applications with you today, is that NEAR has a very easy user experience, meaning that if you are a new user and if you're just joining the space, it is much easier to use a lot of the NEAR applications than it is to use applications by other blockchain networks. So what NEAR as well is trying to do is to really bridge that gap and to bring in more new users into the blockchain space and be kind of the gateway. So some of the important things to understand, and when it comes to just like looking into the overview of NEAR, is that it is a layer 1 blockchain. Layer 1 blockchains are things like Ethereum, NEAR, Avalanche, Algorand that we also talked about. So NEAR is also layer 1 blockchain, but also what separates it from other blockchains is its scaling mechanism that we're actually going to be looking into in a moment. And the scaling mechanism is called nightshade sharding. So, and also as I mentioned, another thing about NEAR is that its applications make it easy to onboard new users and it's focused on bringing mass adoption onto the Web3 space. Right. So blockchains have generally proof of stake consensus mechanism. And we know that Bitcoin has this proof of work consensus mechanism where essentially if you want to agree for the block to be added to the network. A bunch of computers have to compete through solving these very tough mathematical puzzles, and also it's very, very energy inefficient. It's very expensive and slow. So proof of stake essentially introduces consensus mechanism where it is way faster, cheaper, and way more energy efficient to execute the transaction. And what near this with its consensus mechanism and how it differs from other proof of stake consensus mechanism is that it has this machine called Doom Slug, and that it uses a unique sharding mechanism called Nightshade in order to execute the transactions. So this is what really differentiates Near, and this is the really unique technology that Near has built in the blockchain space that no other blockchain is currently using. Right. So when it comes to the very early days of Near, well, it hasn't been that long since Near has been around. So it launched on mainnet only in 2020. So it's still a very, very new blockchain, and we're still only experiencing its first days at the moment. But as we'll see, Near has already built an amazing community and has and it's very ambitious, and I'm sure that it will grow in the future. But looking into the people who actually built Near, it was actually built by two guys called one is called Alex Kidanov, who used to be a software developer at Microsoft, and another Ilya Poloshukin, used to be an engineering manager in Google. So they both were Y Combinator alumni, so Y Combinator as well helped them to build Near. And what they did at that point as well in the bear market is that they raised 50 million without really having much built in just 4 months. So they were incredibly amazing in communicating their vision and just showcasing that what they're doing is going to be beneficial to the world and has a real use case. Right. Now let's look into Nightshade a little bit more. So this is the technology that we mentioned that Near has built and that really differentiates it from other blockchains. So what Nightshade means is that essentially it splits the blockchains into many parts called shards. And then essentially a shard is this mechanism that has 100 seats, and then each seat is occupied by a validator, and as more validators participate, older validators are incentivized to make new shards. I'm aware that they might be complicated to understand, as it is quite a technical concept, but just to understand a high-level overview of like the different vocabulary and what really is kind of key pieces of this technology. So essentially, and the important piece to understand as well about sharding system is that it can be scaled infinitely. So this really supports Near as a blockchain that can be scaled even if many users join the network. So right now, if you look into the transaction speed of Near and how cheap it is to execute a transaction, it is incredible. It's really leading in the whole blockchain space in terms of speed and in terms of in terms of security and how fastly and efficiently through its sharding mechanism it can execute transactions. Also, another thing about it is that it is highly flexible. So if you are a developer, you can actually build apps quickly and introduce the general public to the blockchain. So it is friendly to developers. So if you know Rust already, you can just go and build on Near. So this is one of the key advantages that is bringing Near to the world is its friendliness towards the developers. And we're going to have a couple more slides about sharding because, again, it is quite an important mechanism to understand as it's the key about Near. So what sharding means is essentially that not every node has to run all the code. So what sharding does is it splits the network so the computation can be done in parallel. So it's very different how other blockchains are using the computation power and how the networks are operated. So essentially, through sharding, the entire code run in the blockchain segment into chunks, and with each chunk being run on a single code parallel to each other. So then we look into, again, blockchains like Ethereum. We did mention that it has low scalability. And it's because it also has some computational bottlenecks. And this actually comes from the kind of the major philosophy of blockchain that every node on the chain should run all the code on their hardware. So now Near just came in and said, hey, like actually it doesn't have to be that way. And so they introduced a new way of running the code, which is not going to require as much computing power, and therefore it can be scaled much faster. So that's a very, very incredible innovation that it was brought. So what does that mean? So now for sharding mechanism, we can have the network that is way more scalable. We can have way faster transaction times and as well as a higher throughput. So this means that the use of sharding allows the Near protocol to achieve higher levels of throughput or the number of transactions that the network can process per second. So these are the incredible innovations that are already really, really important when it comes to using and scaling the blockchain network. Also, it makes it easy to build the next generation of decentralized applications. So as a developer, you can do it cheaply, fastly. You don't need to worry about network congestion, and it just makes it also a smoother experience for new users. So we'll see some of the examples of how that's working and how it's making the user experience better, but that's something that Near is, as I mentioned, is really focused on. And because the Light platform automatically expands capacity via sharding without additional cost and effort, it makes scaling any application seamless, which is really, really amazing for any person who is creating an application on Near. So last week, we saw that the main layer 2 solution to scale Ethereum is Polygon. Well, to enable Near to scale even further, it has its Aurora system that as well has a nightshade mechanism that we've just shared. Also, the good thing about Aurora and what it brings to the Near ecosystem is that it's now Ethereum virtual machine compatible. So that makes it easier for developers to replicate their apps from Ethereum to Near. So now if you have an Ethereum application, it's just way easier. Just hey, like take a similar code and just get it onto Aurora. So and build on Near ecosystem this way. Also, one thing that Near has is this Rainbow Bridge. This is another important application that's actually very, very easy to use for any new users. So what it does, essentially, it's a bridge between Ethereum and Aurora. So it's a screenshot that I took from just connecting my wallet. So essentially, it was very, very easy to use. I just had to connect MetaMask to the bridge. So connected my Ethereum network, then an Aurora network appeared on my MetaMask, and then I can just very easily transfer Ethereum from Ethereum network to Aurora network. It's incredibly easy to use. It's one of the best applications I've ever seen on blockchain in terms of usability. And it's an example of how Near has brought usability into the blockchain space. Also, if you are interested in seeing what's happening on a network, since Near, just like any other blockchain, it is actually transparent. So you can see the things and the transactions that are happening on a network. You can just go to Near Explorer and you can see what is happening. And just looking into it now, we see that the average block time at the moment is just 1 second. And the gas price is incredibly low, it's just a fraction of a penny. And it's really actually rare to encounter a blockchain that would have such a quick block time. So this means how fast a block is added to the chain and how fast a transaction is executed, and also how cheap it is to execute a transaction on the Near network. Another important thing that Near has is non-custodial wallet. So custodial wallets are essentially wallets like wallets on exchanges, like Coinbase, where you actually don't own your keys. Whilst non-custodial wallets are the ones that are more secure and where you actually own your keys. And especially after FTX scandal, there has been more and more conversation about the importance of owning your own keys. So Near actually has one of the most user-friendly non-custodial wallets out there. So in the Near wallet, you essentially can hold your Near tokens or like any tokens on the Near blockchain. And as you can see in the top right corner, like this is my wallet address, vidas.near. So my name is Vida, and actually I just use my name as my public key. So that's as well something really, really interesting that Near brought, because generally, you would have this really, really huge number sequence on when you would create a non-custodial wallet. But with Near, you can just create a non-custodial wallet and just have your name. And also, if you want, but it's not the most secure thing, you can even connect your email and log into your email if you're really new and if you're really afraid of losing your seed phrases. Right. When it comes to the Near community, so generally one of the things about blockchains is that they are, and in general about the Web3 space, is that it's run by its community. And Near is as well very much focused on the community. And there's this thing called Near Collective, which is essentially composed of different guilds or groups of people who run the Near protocol. And these groups and these people can be innovators, developers, contributors. So it doesn't have to be a technical person. It can also be part of the Near collective. This really welcomes people from any skill sets. So it's really a community that is behind running Near protocol and governing the decisions that are made on Near. So looking into some of the kind of pieces and important aspects that make Near what it is that it's really actually focused on 3 parts. So one is DeFi. Most of the blockchain protocols are very focused on DeFi, so there's nothing new. But some of the things that as well Near is particularly focused on that is maybe not so strong in other blockchains is its digital cooperatives, which also could be called decentralized autonomous organizations. If you're not familiar with decentralized autonomous organizations, essentially they are, I would call them groups of people that have a shared wallet, come together to make decisions, and they are supported by rules that are set on the blockchain. Then there is the creator economy. So what Near is really focused on as well is how can we enable more creators to benefit from blockchain, how they can actually earn better income, how they can distribute their work. So what it makes it really easy is it makes it really easy to create NFTs and then distribute those NFTs. And also from what I'm aware of, it's really even hard to find a easier NFT creation platform than what Near has created, which is Satori. So with Satori, you can just go ahead and create your own NFT without having any technical knowledge, without being a developer. So it's enabling just regular people, just regular creators to go and join this blockchain economy. And when it comes to the different infrastructure, things that are surrounding Near and it's further empowering it. We have Aurora that has been mentioned before, but also we have other technical frameworks that are allowing Near to scale further. But I'm not going to delve deeper into it. If you want to check it out, do just check out these names, research them, and you can see how you're allowing Near protocol to scale further. Right. So also something that Near is really focused on is its regional hubs. So it has Telegram groups in different locations and where they also meet regularly in order to expand the knowledge about Near and to bring it further to more communities and to just empower more people to understand how they can utilize Near and how they can join this new economy. Also, it has a bunch of ecosystem funds. So if you want to launch a project on Near, it has different kind of funding mechanisms or different grants programs for DeFi, NFTs, entertainment, refi, and other industries that you can tap into. So but looking overall into what is available on Near at the moment and what sort of projects we can find there is like the best way to do that. If you are interested in checking out, for yourself, the different projects on Near, you can just go to this website called Awesome Near, and there you will find a list of all the different projects that are curated on the Near ecosystem. So at the moment, we have over 1,000 projects that are actively engaged in the ecosystem and are building on Near. So looking into like the projects that are out there, we can see just like in other blockchain networks that there's a bunch of different DeFi applications. There is wallets, validators, bridges, even some stable coins. Also, as I mentioned, Near is really tapping into the creator economy. So you will also see some websites where you can create your own NFT or sell NFTs. And also another thing that it has, I don't know if you've heard of Sweatcoin, which is built on Solana, where you can essentially earn crypto through walking and then exchange it different discounts. Well, Near has its own version, which is called Sweat Economy. So there as well, you can just walk. And as you're walking, you can earn crypto. So it can be a good incentivization to become physically more active. Another interesting things that we have in the Near ecosystem. So we have a Near Week, which is a decentralized Web3 news and community platform. We also have Human Guild, which essentially specifically focusing on gaming projects and awarding grants to those gaming projects. And then we also have this thing called TangDAO. And here we are again connecting with creator economy because what's it's really focused on is providing professional services to help artists to build generative art projects or NFTs. So, and then how the DAO is getting its money into its treasury is through the NFT sales, and then generally when you sell NFT, you would get like a royalty percentage. So then these royalty percentages are going back into the DAO to support more artists to build more new generative arts projects. Also, looking into more kind of social projects that actually have done good for the world is we have Unchained Fund. I actually had opportunities to meet all the founders of Unchained Fund, really amazing people. And on Near, what we have is this thing called AstraDAO. And AstraDAO enables decentralized autonomous organizations to be built. So it's a DAO launching platform. And we have about 170 DAOs, if I'm not mistaken, at the moment that are built on here. And one of the kind of the most socially or like impactful ones is the Unchained Fund. And what they've done is that they collected over 7 million USD um, um, in and then distributed this money to support people that are suffering through the war in Ukraine, to support them in getting shelter, food, and more. Also, there are some interesting DAOs that are run by Near and that are specifically focusing on marketing, creative, and developers. So essentially, it has this marketing DAO where you can, if you have an interesting project on Near that can actually allow to spread the message of Near and educate more people on Near, you can just go and submit a proposal about your project and get funding. And again, we're here looking into the creative economy, and also Near has some funding for that. So if you're an artist and if you want to participate in Near, and if you want to utilize Near technology in order to distribute your art, then you can go and as well request funding. It also focused very much on developers, like every other blockchain. So essentially, it has a bunch of different initiatives and grants for anyone who wants to participate in Near as a developer. But again, what's really interesting here about Near is its participation in the creator economy. It's focused on DAOs. So this is something that as well is quite differentiating itself from other blockchains. And as you've seen as well, it has a bunch of opportunities for anyone to participate in the Near ecosystem and even get funding. So what it means then for the different actually participants of the Near ecosystem to actually have Near as a technology. So first, end users, as we've seen, can benefit from progressive UX, way easier onboarding than we've seen in any other blockchain, but also not sacrificing privacy whilst actually getting the benefits of usability. Whilst for businesses, this can mean that they can optimize advanced permissions for users into their apps and receive a vast toolkit for simple app composition. So also, Near has an incredible developer community, has a lot of support, a lot of documentation. So for anyone who wants to start utilizing your blockchain and build a business with it, or improve or take it into their business, then there's a lot of opportunities for it. And also, another major player in ecosystem is Validators. So the difference between other blockchains as well is that you don't really need an advanced software to join as a validator in the system, yet you can earn protocol tokens by validating the transaction. Okay, I think we've just had a little connection issue, so apologies. I'm not sure what happened there, but we can continue now with our presentation. We have a few slides left, But thank you so much for everyone who's stuck around. I hope you already learned something about Near, and I hope that it has been useful. Right. So another piece that every blockchain has is its token. So Near is also not an exception. It also has its Near token. So what Near token is used for is to process transactions, to store data. Also to run validator nodes through staking the token, and also Near token can be used for governance. So if you have Near token, you can actually participate in determining where the blockchain is heading and where the different resources are being allocated. Right. So when it comes to like the nodes that we mentioned, just wanted to spend a minute looking into what these nodes are really about, and just to see how they're operating. So at the moment, we do have about 181 nodes validating Near, and anyone can actually join as a validator, but there's a catch here. It does require quite some computing power. You do need to have well, a few 100,000 at least of Near tokens in order to participate. So here we see the top validators that actually have millions in Near tokens, and the second person is actually says is from Antarctica, which is probably not true, but essentially. At the moment, we have 184 validators. Anyone can become a validator, and if we do want to do that, you can just go to no docs on Near website, and you can download the code and run a node. But again, it requires to stake you a lot of Near in order to participate, and also requires quite some computing power, so something to be aware of. Right. Also, if you are interested in joining the Near community, in the website there you can also find different links to the different Telegram groups that exist in different countries. So as you can see, Near has presence all over the world, from India to Korea to Mexico to Portugal to Sri Lanka, Turkey, basically all over the globe, practically in every continent, you can find a Near community. So if today you actually got interested and intrigued about Near, you can continue exploring it further through joining the different communities, and maybe you can even find one in your own country or your own city. Right. When it comes to the different innovations that we have covered today, just to summarize, what's the most critical and important things that Near has brought to the blockchain space? A is sharding. So we discussed this innovative sharding mechanism that Near has created. Also, actually, another thing that Near does do is it allows developers to want to prepay gas, so that users don't have to pay gas to use a app. So that actually links with usability. So you don't maybe necessarily need to have crypto to use an application. Also, we've seen human readable account IDs, and here I'm referring to the wallet. So you can actually have your name as a wallet address. And also, we've seen an interesting application of Near, which is the Rainbow Bridge. And with the Rainbow Bridge, you can very easily bridge the assets from Near network into Ethereum network, or the other way around. If you are a developer, and I would love to hear if any of you are developers, Near runs essentially this web assembly, but actually, if you can just write smart contracts in Rust, which is modification of JavaScript, so if you already are a Rust developer, you can just go ahead and build on Near. And if you actually want to learn more about what you need in order to build on Near, or what are the developer capabilities, you can just go to their Near website, and has very extensive developer documentation where you can actually learn about developing on Near and how to actually create smart contracts, and a bunch of amazing developer documentation can be found here. Okay, guys, we're almost finished. But now, I want to look a bit into the future and see what really are some of the possibilities, or what are some of the things that Near is very much focused on. So first, scalability is always going to be improved. Even though Near has already done amazing work with sharding mechanism and layer 2 solutions, still there's work to improve scalability, and it can get better. And it's also important to keep working on it in order for the network not to get congested and for the scalability not to reduce. So there's going to be more work in improving the sharding mechanism for it to become even better than it is currently. Also, we're going to have a bunch of new features and capabilities that will be run on your protocol. So right now we have a lot of flexibility as of how the protocol can be developed. We still are really new. So the protocol has launched in the mainnet in 2020. So it's right now still really small, and in comparison to where very likely is going to get in the future. So we're going to have it even more capable and even more extensible than it is right now. Also, one of the big things what generally blockchains, including Near, are focused on is how can we actually create mechanisms for different chains to work together and to be more interoperable, and how can they interact and communicate together. So we've seen what Near did with the Rainbow Bridge and with Aurora, and how these technologies allow it to communicate with Ethereum network. And we're going to have more developments and more applications for Near to not only communicate better with Ethereum, but also with other blockchains. Also, Ethereum is going to continue finding ways on how they can further involve their community, how they can further better the governance mechanisms, and ensure that Near is actually built by its community and that its voice is heard in the best way possible. Okay, so that was everything on Near, guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope you learned something about Near, and I hope that it has been useful for you. However, I'd like to also talk with you before we finish about some of the upcoming opportunities that we have with Metricstyle that you can join, and we would love to have you on board. So I'm going to share them right now with you. So first, we at the moment have a bunch of upcoming courses. So we also have some webinars for DAO Solana that will be happening the Thursdays, the 2 upcoming Thursdays. So we would love to have you in those webinars if you want to learn more about DAOs and Solana. Also, we are launching a bunch of new courses. We're going to have a course on Near. So today was just an introduction, but we are actually going to have a fully fledged course that you can just freely join. It's completely free, and then learn more about Near. So we're going to have that soon as well. So the best way to keep updated and to be the first one to hear about our course launch on Near, but also other courses, like just go to the website and register. It's really easy. Also, if you are interested in Web3 analytics, we are at the moment running a couple of programs. So one is our synchronous program, and another one is our live program. Also, if you know something about Web3 analytics, go and participate in our analytics challenges. Again, the information on the website. Also, on our Discord server, and there you're going to find our Near chat, where you can actually learn more about Near. We're going to share some resources, some updates, and you can then also meet each other and exchange any thoughts or ideas you have about Near. Right. So another thing that I'd like to mention to you is that if you do want to join our Discord server, we can all be a really amazing community, and that we can all share, and continue expertise that we have is that you have to fill in a form. So we're going to share the form again in the chat right now, but once you fill in the form, you will actually be requested to enter your Polygon ID. The reason why you are asked to enter your Polygon key is because this way we can send you a badge. So once we send you a badge, you will be able to join our special channels that are only going to be available to people who own that badge. So that for this reason, it's also important that you don't lend a wallet and that you do have a Polygon mainnet address that you can then share with us in the forum. So one of the easiest wallets to lend or that you can use Polygon with is MetaMask. So you can just go to the website. You will see 12 words and that you will need to remember, so ensure to keep them secure, because this way you can back up your account in the case you forget your password, or if you want to have your account on a different device, but also keep it secure. So don't share this password with anyone. Then once you do download MetaMask, do switch to Polygon mainnet, and then there at the top you will see in a huge number, a very long number. So just copy that number and then share this number with us in the chat, in the form, so that we can send you the badge to your Polygon wallet. Once it's done, do go to our Discord server, and it's going to take a couple of days for that badge to be actually sent. So don't expect the badge to come immediately, because we do it manually. So then at the very top of the Discord server, you will see Start Your Journey. So there we actually have a bot, which is called GuildBot. And there you can actually connect your wallet, and then the GuildBot recognize and be like, okay, this person has the badge for Near, so I can allow them to join the Near chat. If they will see that you don't have a Near badge, then they will not open the Near chat for you. So we have some really interesting bots at the moment that actually were created in this Web3 space for the Discord server to have more capabilities and actually utilize NFTs. But that's why as well it's important to fill in the form and share your Polygon ID, so that then we can actually see that you have the badge. Not we, but the GuildBot. Right. So do we have any burning questions before we finish the talk for today? I also wanted to say that we are very, very much welcoming the questions in the Near chat. So when you do join our Discord server and get access to the Near chat, it would be really a good opportunity for you to ask 20 questions. And as well, we will be sharing some resources with you and updates, and when we are actually going to be launching the Near course. And also would love to hear what were some of your key takeaways. So reflect on the presentation that we've had today and think about what is something that you found really interesting about Near and that you maybe would like to share with your friends. And maybe you want to get involved in the Near community some way. If you do, that would be great. And we'd love to hear as well how you can see yourself getting involved in the Near community. Okay, so if you have any more questions, then drop them in the Near chat on is going to be available. We really, really appreciate your time and for joining us today in the Near webinar brought to you by MetricsDAO. Have a lovely day ahead, and I hope you learned some new things today. So our upcoming webinars are going to be held on Thursdays. So we're going to have a webinar on Solana and DAOs. So do ensure to check out our website, register to the webinars and courses, and we cannot wait to see you back